My name's Culture Hash, and let's crack on and have a little chat about this new Logic and Eminem song, Homicide. So this track, Homicide, produced by Bregma, it's gonna appear on Logic's upcoming 5th studio album, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. At the moment, Logic's doing his thing, he's like smashing out the albums. He's averaging an album or two a year at this point, so there's a lot of fucking Logic going around at the moment. And although he's not really my thing, I sort of get why people like him. He's got like quite a nice flow, and he's got something interesting to say, but just the way he pulls it off isn't really for me, but I don't hold anything against that man. We've also got Eminem. This is the first collaboration between the two artists. Eminem, obviously a legendary figure within hip-hop, combined massive commercial success with critical acclaim, especially on his first 3 albums. His career sort of took a nosedive in 2004 with the quite silly Encore album, and then after that it's all been pretty much mediocre albums from Eminem. But his first 3 albums still stand the test of time, and his career is certainly interesting to a lot of people. Recent Eminem isn't something I've been interested in. I endured his most recent album, Kamikaze, which is about 45 minutes of this rappity rap, not saying much, rapping words together, rappity rap. So coming into this track, Homicide, had pretty low expectations. I was expecting them just to be going rap, but without saying anything interesting. And for the most part, that's what I've really got here. Homicide just sees these two trade some really fast-paced bars, sort of like a lyrical playground exercise where they just rap as many words together as possible. They don't really say anything too interesting on this track. It's not really too gripping. It's an interesting lyrical exercise, but as a song, something that I want to listen to just generally, I wouldn't really put Homicide on after these initial listens. It's impressive to hear these bars, and it's interesting to hear their technical skill, but as I've said before with Eminem, just hearing him rap the dictionary isn't really an engaging listen to myself. Granted, a lot of trap and mainstream hip-hop doesn't really say too much either, but while these tracks lack a bit of lyrical depth, there's a bit more enjoyment to them. They've got catchy hooks, they've got some silly wordplay sometimes, and I don't feel like I'm just bombarded with lyrics like I hear on this Homicide track. At this point in Eminem's career, I feel like he's run out of interesting things to say. His first 3 albums were incredible because they had this great storytelling, as well as some real depth of content about Eminem's life and who he is and the struggles he was going through. Nowadays, I feel like Eminem's mastered rapping, and he's just doing this double syllable flow these days. He's just rhyming all these words together and it's all good. And it's fine, Eminem's got his own fan base that likes this sort of style of rap. I mean, obviously Logic just copies what Eminem does on here because Logic doesn't really do too many original things. He sort of just goes with whatever his guest is going for. There's a couple of bits where I think he copies J. Cole a little bit as well. But for the most part, he just sort of goes bar to bar with Eminem. I mean, there's some decent wordplay on Homicide, and if you want to hear people just rap really fast and just rap as many words together with loads of internal rhymes and bars like that, then this will be for you. Technically speaking, like Kamikaze, there's some really interesting bars on here. There's some interesting wordplay, especially on Eminem's verse when he talks about Jay-Z and drops in some clever reference about the New York Yankees. So Eminem's got the more interesting verse, but again, apart from just hearing him rap really fast, it doesn't really offer too much in terms of enjoyment. There's a tongue-in-cheek outro from internet comedian Chris D'Elia where he imitates Eminem and does this whole flow that I've been talking about, just does a good impression of it. Quite interesting that they use this to outro the track, and it just enforces the point that Eminem's just rapping words together these days without really saying too much. So yeah, Homicide, not a great track, doesn't make me feel excited about the new Logic album, certainly doesn't make me feel interested about the future of Eminem's career. I hope Eminem does a bit less of this verbal gymnastics going forward and gives us a bit more of interest in future projects. Logic's album, probably going to be okay, probably going to have a couple of decent songs that sound like other successful rappers, but that's just Logic at this point, so we'll see where it goes. But Homicide as a track, not very enjoyable, pretty boring, one-dimensional, not worth a listen.